Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Divine Feminine Healers podcast. It is Angelica here, intuitive business coach. And today I want to talk all about how to heal when you have multiple doshas out of balance because it could get super tricky. And I used to get this question a lot when I did my live Ayurvedic workshops. We would take an Ayurvedic quiz to see what dosha is most out of balance. And people would be like, well, I have all the doshas that are out of balance. And that's just because when you're first bringing awareness to your body, you're noticing that, wow, I have a lot of these symptoms that I may have put on the wayside are actually all prevalent. And it can feel overwhelming. So, in that type of case, what I always tell everyone is to treat the imbalance that feels the most prominent and you have the most symptoms out of balance with. And of course, if vata is in the equation, you're always going to treat vata first. So you can use that as a general rule of thumb. But truly, when you're really trying to heal from a multi dosha imbalance, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, you want to find the root cause of it because if you treat the symptom, which can even be that dosha that's on the surface that's out of balance, you're not actually treating at the root of it. It's like a plant. If you were just to cut off a rotten leaf off of a plant, it might work. It might get healthy again, but if you're not really treating the root of it, you're probably not actually treating the actual issue that's happening, and it's going to happen to a lot of the other leaves. So the same thing can be said in our bodies. Now, in particular, I really want to dive into the Pitta Kapha imbalance because I see this one a lot in my community and when I work with my clients. So, I work with a lot of Pitta type of clients that Pitta types are very entrepreneurial by nature because they're ruled by the fire element. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know you got to have fire in you in order to start your own business. You are your own cheerleader, your own motivator, you are everything and more for your business, putting on all the hats. So, usually I see a lot of women who are out of balance here and leads to burnout and exhaustion. This is probably because earlier in their career, they learned that they succeeded and got ahead and got results when they negated their body's intuitive system to pause and take time for rest and nourishment. And if they pushed, they could get results a lot quicker. And while that can be true, in the long term, it actually slows you down because you end up getting sick or you get an injury or you have to take off a super long time in order for you to restore your body back to its normal balance. So, some of these symptoms that you'll experience as a pitta imbalance in the body is inflammation, just feeling exhausted, kind of like you're dragging throughout your days, and any type of burning sensations like burning indigestion and acne, type of heat in the body. A lot of this is related to the liver, so a lot of liver issues can stem from pitta imbalances. And mentally and emotionally, pittas have a strong inner critic voice. So there's this critic that's saying, oh, you don't need to rest, and oh, you need to put in more work in order to get X, Y, and Z results, and oh my gosh, you're not at your goals yet. These type of beliefs keep them in that state of burnout because they're thinking, well, I'm not enough. I got to create more. I got to put and make my goals more prominent in order for me to feel this level of success. So basically, what it comes down to is Pittas really value their worth in their work and their productivity. And I like to think of this from a positive perspective that the reason why they love this is because they're so passionate about bringing their creative ideas into a physical reality. They love that transformation process. I mean, I love when I get a download and a new idea and being able to put it in actuality, whether that's a course or into my membership, and seeing that kind of physical tangibility to it of just starting with an idea in my head is brilliant, and I almost get like addicted to that, right? And I think this happens with a lot of pittas as they get addicted to that sensation of transformation and creating, that they forget that there's all these other elements to them that make them a whole person. There can be joyful, they love play, they love rest, they love hanging out with the people that they love, and this is what makes them feel at their best. So when they are out of balance, though, they're going to feel the burnt out and exhaustion. Now, what happens when you're at that state with a lot of pittas? They're not going to even know that they're burnt out because they've been in that state for so long and they're still able to kind of do their things and kind of make it through. And their bodies are still kicking no matter what. They're still going to push through. And you'll notice if you tune in and pause pittas, you can feel that kind of like pushing feeling. Like it just feels like a square and a round hole. It's just like, oh, you're really forcing things. A lot of times intuitive healers will know. They're gonna like, I know I'm really pushing my limits here. And then they'll get sick and they're like, yep, I knew that was going to happen because they were pushing. So if you can notice those first signs of that push, that can really help you to take the preventive measures. But over time, when you negate that for a long time, the body is like in survival mode. It needs to heal. It needs to fill up. That fire basically has burned everything out. And what it's looking is to feel grounded and to feel nourished again. And so it's going to seek out the elements earth and water. Their schedules are so tight packed, usually with pittas. They're like got one thing right after the next. They're craving just feeling grounded and connected, and they're feeling like they need nourishment. They're not doing anything for themselves because they're so hyper fixated on their goals for their business that they are literally trying anything just to feel whole and fulfilled again. So naturally, they're going to seek out the earth and the water elements in their life. So what does this look like? Well, the most common one that I see and the easiest accessible is going to be food. And this becomes an issue because that sometimes for pittas becomes the only way that they are currently nourishing themselves. Think about it. There's so many different ways that we nourish ourselves with our self-care practices. But if you are literally only having time for the bare necessity of feeding yourself, you are going to overconsume in that area of your life because intuitively your body's like, I need some sustenance. I need something to fill me up. And if this is the only way you're doing it, I'm going to naturally overeat or pick a lot more comfort foods in order to fill that space. This may also result in things like sleeping in the morning. So maybe pittas will put their meditation practice aside and they're like, oh, you know what? I just need to rest. Like I'm so exhausted right now. So they'll sleep in and then suddenly their morning routine rituals start to go off. And then it eventually leads to this stagnation and they feel stuck and they feel like they have a creative block. And this is sometimes when pitchers are like, okay, something's really off now because I feel heavy. Maybe there was weight gain. But the creative block is what really gets them because they're like, I just feel like I'm pulling for ideas and it's not flowing as naturally as it normally does. So, this is when your body literally is taking the pause for you so that you can stop and assess what is going on right now. What is going on right now is you're out of balance. And so, subconsciously, your mind is just trying anything to ground and find nourishment, but it's doing it in a way that is not conducive to your healing. So, if you on the surface, when you're in this position where you're like, okay, now I have a Kapha imbalance, I feel this creative block, maybe I've gained some weight, I keep getting sick. That's another issue that I see with this Pitta Kapha imbalance because their immune system is now compromised and they have a very low energy levels. They're going to get sick a lot. They might get the cold and flu. And this happened to me totally a couple of years ago. I remember when I was burnt out in my business, but I was also feeling this kappa imbalance. So it's really tricky because you're like, okay, I'm really stuck right now and blocked. I know in order to get out of a creative block, I need to get things moving again. I need to get more disciplined. I need to rev up my ideas and creativity. However, this is why it's so important to treat the root cause of the imbalance. If you just try to treat that kapha imbalance by pushing through with that aggressive nature, you're just going to throw the pitta further out of balance, and then your body's just going to seek more nourishment in ways that it's not conducive to its own healing. So it's important to assess, okay, what does my body truly need here? And it can be really tempting to treat the symptom on the surface because especially stagnation for a pitta feels uncomfortable. That is a energy that they're not familiar with, that they're not comfortable with, and they want to get rid of it as possible. So when you really take a pause and you see, okay, where did this imbalance really stem from? Well, I was burnt out previously. So the only way you're going to heal is if you mindfully bring in the earth and the water elements into your life, but in a really intuitive way. Because remember, you have a kapha imbalance. So if you just go on the complete opposite end of the spectrum and do a lot of things that are very grounding and very nourishing, you're still going to feel stagnant and you're going to feel slow and you're going to feel sluggish. So, how can you start to apply this to your business? The first thing that I recommend here is to clear. You need to clear out your space. And this is done in a way that's going to help heal the Kapha balance because it's that stickiness and that stagnation that you're experiencing. But simultaneously, you're clearing things off of your business calendar and maybe clearing off of some of the goals that you set for yourself in order to feel more grounded. So it's done in a really methodical way. It's not just clearing everything just to get a lot more movement going, but it's clearing in a really strategic way that's going to keep you anchored, that's going to really keep that Pitta feeling grounded and focused. So the first thing I always recommend is just a clear space. You're probably working on too many projects. You probably have back-to-back meetings. You need to create that space in your days for pause so that you can reconnect with your intuition and start to listen to what your body messages are saying and the messages that your guides are trying to send you. And taking that time also just to ground and only focus on 1 to 2 goals at a time. So once you've found time to clear that space, clear things off your schedule, prioritize what is really the most important. Okay, I really want to do this thing, but it's really not the most important. So I'm going to push that aside. Once you have that space, and then ground into just 1 to 2 goals. And a lot of times I work with entrepreneurs on focusing on just one offer at a time. This is difficult. This is something I know I've been a victim of in my own business. Is when you have so many ideas for your business and you want to bring them into fruition, it's hard not to start acting on all of them. But if you do, you are going to expend your energy because your energy is going to all these different places and you're not going to get the goals that you really want and you need to sustain your business, and it's going to deplete you over time. So this strategy doesn't work when you overextend yourself. Focus on just 1 to 2 goals and then just one offer at a time. It's going to feel so good because you're going to have clarity, you're going to have answers on how to move forward, and your body's going to feel less stress and less pressure because it's not doing 5 million things at the same time. So I always come back to what would you do in your body is the same thing that you would do in your business. So, intuitive healers, when you have a pitta imbalance, the issue is to not add more things to your plate and, oh, you just need to give yourself a kick in the pants and keep going. No, you would say, make time for rest, make time for nourishment. And that's what you're doing here. You're making time to clear off the things off your schedule that you do not need, and then making time for the things that really do matter. Those 1 to 2 goals, one can be career related or related to your business, but let the other one be something that's nourishing and spiritual for you. I know when I tend to get burnt out is when my spiritual practices fall to the wayside for my business, or when I don't take that weekly time to assess, okay, what worked in my business and what didn't. When I don't take these moments to pause and to reset, over time, these things just collect. And everything becomes a little bit murky because I'm not really clear on what is working in my business, what I need to get away from my business, what my intuition is really telling me versus what my schedule is telling me. And if you are a spiritual business owner, consistently tuning into your intuition is how your business is going to thrive. There's just no other way. That's how you chose this route. It's because you got initiated into this whole world with your healing journey. And now the next step is to bringing in your healing gifts and sharing them with the world, which is really exciting. So I know this imbalance is really specific, but I have experienced it in my own body. I'm going through my own cycle of this right now, and I'm seeing this in my clients. So I know it can help some of you out there who are going through this right now. And why I love sharing this is because if you can own and understand your energy and how it's working, it's going to give you such good information on how to move forward with your business. Your energy is simply a blueprint of your business and vice versa. So, if you want more tools and resources to reconnect with your intuition, if you felt like you've kind of gotten away from it, I have a free Activate Your Intuition Masterclass. I'll have that linked below in the show notes. It's a really good way to clear energetic blockages and to reconnect with what your intuition is telling you to take, what that first step is. If you're like, I don't even know what to clear off my schedule, or what is that one offer that I should focus on? It sounds like you need to get back to trusting the voice that is within you. So I'll have that linked in the show notes. And if you love this episode, please share it with a friend or family member who would love it too. That's how I grow this beautiful podcast. And I would adore you if you commented, rated, and reviewed on either Apple or Spotify. You can now rate on Spotify. You can even put your questions, answers, or comments in the Q&A section on Spotify as well. All right, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I will be back next week with an energy update, and I hope you all have a beautiful weekend.